are being joined by Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, who is a military expert and senior fellow for defense priorities, also host of the Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Justice and peace.
Sir, now to begin with, aid, that has been a major point of concern. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden is trying to get aid for Ukraine as well as Israel. What can you tell us of the United States' priorities at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I think the biggest priority is for Israel because they're the ones that are at the, they are our allies. Ukraine is actually not a formal ally. And, Israel is getting ready to launch a big operation, and they have a greater need in the immediate term than the Ukraine does. But as President Biden laid out in his speech tonight, he wants to make both of them a priority. And one of the reports I saw showed that he actually wanted to allocate more money for Ukraine than he did even for Israel. And in his speech, he actually gave more time and more details to Ukraine than he did for Israel, likening the Hitler and Putin and Hamas and trying to put them all in one package to try to make people understand what his intention was. But we'll see how it all works out because it's completely unclear whether Congress is going to even, first of all, meet, and second of all, if they do, if they're going to agree to that package.
Now, so we've seen that there has been a concern regarding this spilling into a wider regional conflict as well. Also from the latest in what we're hearing, Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has told his men to get ready for a ground offensive. What can you tell us of the practical implications of this, and how do you see the situation unfolding on ground going forward?
Well, there's lots of reports that because of that very meeting you mentioned, that a lot of people believe the invasion is imminent. I don't know whether it is or not. I hope that they take their time. I would say they should wait a month or two, because time is only going to be working on Israel's side. It's going to be working against Hamas the longer they take. I know emotions are very high, but Israel has to guard against rushing to failure and going in, because it takes a long time to do a good job of making proper planning, good intelligence, battlefield intelligence, so that you can make a good operational plan. And then you've got to train your troops too. We have to bear in mind that a lot of these, like a significant number of these Israelis, are reservists, and they did hardly any training during the summer. Many of them basically boycott training because of a lot of internal disputes they had with themselves over the judicial reform issue. So Israel is not in a great spot to go do this right away. And I know that there's a lot of emotion for it, and a lot of people want to move them in quickly. But if they go in quickly, the chances of getting those hostages released are pretty small. So that's another reason I think they might want to wait. We'll have to see how it works out.
Now, tensions already soaring in the northern Israeli front between Israel and Hezbollah as well. What can you tell us of the involvement of Hezbollah?
Yeah, this is the big wild card. This is the biggest challenge, because Hezbollah, many of their leaders who have met with some of the senior Iranian leaders, have come back and said that their red line is if Israel attacks into Gaza City in force, if they actually invade the city and in the Strip with large numbers of ground forces. They have claimed that if Israel does that, then they're going to launch a northern attack, and so Israel will have to fight a two-front war. There is a lot of talk in the White House that if that happens, then the U.S. may give serious consideration to coming into the war on Israel's side against Hezbollah. Now, I think that would be a significant mistake because the last thing the United States needs to do is get directly involved in this war, which could then explode and expand, because we don't know if then Iran would join in if Hezbollah, their biggest client state, was attacked, or if any of these other groups that have already been targeting American forces in Syria and Iraq. Those would probably escalate, and the casualties to the United States could go higher, and the potential for getting sucked into a big war is just really big, and we need to avoid that at all costs.
So that being said, to join the fleet of the U.S. military equipment, in fact, the Pentagon now plans to send 2 of the Iron Dome missile defense systems back to Israel for its fight with Hamas. How do you assess this?
Yeah, and the reason for that makes sense because, you've seen this daily images practically, and certainly since 7 October, is the significant number of rockets that have been coming in from Hamas, and it's depleting a lot of the systems that Israel has. And especially if Hezbollah does come in from the north, then Israel's going to need additional air defense systems in the north that are dedicated to that area, as well as what they have to protect their major cities right now. So that makes a lot of sense. But it's also important to note that there are a limited number of interceptor missiles, both here and in the United States.
All right. Now, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, thank you so much for joining us on the show with your insights on this. Always a pleasure to have you.
Always my pleasure. Thank you very much.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.